I want to say to everyone, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. You know, we've had a few struggles in the last two times, not of any fault of our own. Like I said, I just want to quickly before I say anything else, I want to say, begin by acknowledging that we are fortunate to be able to gather on the shared, unceded traditional territory of the Katsi, Semiahmoo, Kwantlen, and other Salish people's lands. So that's very important for us to acknowledge. Before I introduce a man who doesn't need any introduction, I just want to say quickly that this is a pivotal point in our time, much like it was in 2015 when our Prime Minister ran for the very first time and ran on the premise of hope and change and inclusiveness and understanding diversity and recognizing the demographic and the dynamic of this wonderful country, and ran a positive campaign that included everyone from all walks of life. We are now seeing, as a result of campaigns in different countries and in different levels of government, that those that are not about those qualities that embody a true Canadian are starting to panic. They are starting to get nasty. They're starting to get divisive. They're starting to take away hope. And they want change, but not the kind of change that is important, not the kind of change that represents who we are, not the kind of change that represents what we embody as Canadians. So now, more importantly than ever, our work is going to begin again now to make sure that we stand united, stand strong, and make sure that we continue this message across all levels of government, but especially federal government that embodies the Canadian way of life, that we are not going to be bullied, we are not going to tolerate racism, we are not going to tolerate intolerism, we are going to stand together as Canadians, different colors and creeds, and it doesn't matter if your sexual orientation, your color, your creed, your race, your religion. And it embodies here today, when I look across, we have, you know, a sea of United Nations and a sea of color and people who are true Canadians and understand what it means to be Canadians. So please remember the work starts now because people are coming and they're coming with divisiveness. So make sure that we work hard, and more than anything now, listen, I'm going to stop talking. I've been talking in an election campaign for the last 2 months. So I want to introduce a man who needs no introduction, my father, Dr. Gulzar Cheema.
मैं पहला एक मिनट पंजाबी जी गल करांगा मैं सारिਆਂ ਦਾ बहुत धन्यवाद करना कि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਏ ਹੋ so I'm so grateful that you are all here. This is my 10th fundraising event for our Prime Minister, 10th one, and I think last one we had some difficulty. But I tell you something about this man. I met with him in Montreal, and then afterward we started to talk about him, that who will be the next Prime Minister of this country. From his father until him, I have worked with every leader of this party. And every leader has some great qualities, but this person, when he came to our home with a lot of you who are present here, we were impressed. We thought that if he becomes the Prime Minister, he will reflect what's good for all Canada. And we have seen that very clearly. He has gone through a very difficult time in this country, that he has dealt with every possible issue, starting from COVID-19 to floods and natural disasters and climate changes. So many things have happened, and he has never shied away from the responsibility. I think when things are happening in a positive way, people are all excited. But the time is coming, then we all have to work hard. Things may not look very good financially for all of us in the near future. But do you think that you want to change for something which is unknown, unheard, untried, untrue? I don't believe so. I think we have a Prime Minister who has a record of success, record of achievements, dedication, intelligence, commitment. And I am so proud that I can call him one of the best Prime Minister I have ever seen in my life in this country for the last 42 years. So let's give a warm welcome to the next, again, give a sorry, not again, he's going to be again and again for sure. But let's welcome our Prime Minister and give him a warm welcome of Surrey and show to everyone who's outside that we love him, we respect him, and please give him a...
Thank you, Gulzar, my friend. Thank you for your kind words, but mostly thank you for your extraordinary service to Canada, to the Liberal Party, to this community, and to me. You have been by my side since my very beginnings in politics, and we have come a long way since then, and we have a lot more to do together, and I really appreciate all that you've done. AJ, great to see you as well. Where did you go off to? There you are. Great to see you. A little more gray in the beard now. It's yeah, I shaved mine off when it started to go gray, but looks good. I want to thank also the MPs who are here. I want to thank Randeep and Suk for being amazing leaders here in Surrey. And I know Parm, you're here as well. Are you? Great to see you here. Thank you so much. Parm Baines, come over from Richmond for this one. Also want to recognize Brenda and Eric. Thank you, Brenda, newly elected Mayor of Surrey. Congratulations, Brenda Locke. Brenda and I ran together in the 2008 election, and we've been good friends ever since, and it's wonderful to be able to work with such a strong leader as you here in Surrey as we're going to continue to build a stronger future. Eric Woodward, thank you so much, Eric, for your leadership in Langley City. It's going to be great to work with you as well in the coming years. Because politics is about coming together. It's about working together to build stronger communities and a stronger country. And it is always such a tremendous pleasure for me to be back here in Surrey, and I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. You've demonstrated your dedication, your persistence in finally coming together tonight for this moment where we get to exchange, where we get to talk about the future we're building, and we get to get involved positively in shaping our future. But we have to understand that there's a lot of anxiety out there. There's a lot of people struggling and suffering and worried about where the future is going to go. And that's why as a government, we made a simple promise. We made it in 2015. We made it again through the pandemic. We continue to make it right now. That we will be there for Canadians. We will have your backs. We will work together to get through whatever challenges we're facing. That's what pulls us together. That's why we are so positive and optimistic about the future. Because we know that's what Canadians do. That's what people here in Surrey, people right across the country do. We support our neighbors. We step up for stronger communities. We look to see how we can help each other, not just because we know that that's the nice thing to do or the right thing to do, although of course it is. We do that because it's also the smart thing to do. You see, in 2015, we took office by pushing aside a government that continued to believe that the best way to grow the economy was by giving tax breaks and advantages to the wealthiest. And then look at how to divide people, play up fears and anxieties to try and squeeze through and form government. And they were able to form government for close to 10 years, the federal Conservatives. But they weren't able to grow the economy in any really meaningful way. And it came down to a fundamental misunderstanding, that the Canadian economy only works if it works for everyone, if it works for all Canadians. So we got elected on a promise to fight every day for the middle class and people working hard to join it. That's why we came together. And 7 years in, we've demonstrated that not only was that the right thing to do, it was also the smart thing to do. First thing we did was lower taxes for the middle class and ask the wealthiest 1% to pay a little more. And then we delivered a Canada Child benefit that delivers hundreds of dollars a month, tax-free, to families that need it, and lifted hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty over the past years. Our ability to lift over 2 million people out of poverty over the past 7 years, at the same time as we have seen record job growth in this country, is because Canadians know that being there for each other is how we move through this, how we make sure we all prosper. That's been the story of this country. That's certainly been the story of this community here in Surrey and across the country. So our ability to continue to do that, and our demonstration that that worked well, really, really mattered during the pandemic. Because nobody was expecting a pandemic. Nobody had thought about what we would do if there was a pandemic that suddenly shut down our communities, our homes, our economy. But what did we do as Canadians? Well, we did what we always do in difficult times. We pulled together. We listened to each other. We listened to experts. We listened to doctors. We listened to scientists. We looked out for our neighbors. We looked out for our elders. We did the smart things to keep us safe. And as a government, we knew that supporting small businesses, supporting restaurants that had to keep going even though nobody was coming and nothing could work, supporting families who didn't know where their paychecks were coming from, supporting elders who were the most vulnerable and the most isolated, supporting students who missed out on school, who missed out on summer job opportunities. Through this pandemic, 8 out of every $10 spent on pandemic supports right across the country came from the federal government, not the provincial government, not the municipal governments. Our government stepped up. And why did we do it? Once again, not just because it was the nice thing to do, not even because it was the right thing to do, although it was, but because it was the smart thing to do. Because by supporting businesses, by supporting workers, by supporting families, to get through this pandemic, we guaranteed that our economy would come back faster and stronger than ever before. And that's exactly what happened. Our pandemic was not only less severe than most other countries that are comparable, with fewer deaths, although we still had too many and there were too many tragedies, fewer economic disruptions, because we were there for each other and we recovered full employment from the level of the pandemic 6 months earlier than the United States, because it is never a mistake to invest in Canadians, to support people who need help through tough times so we come back stronger afterwards. And right now in this inflation crisis, where families are worried about buying groceries, people are struggling to make ends meet, having to take 2 or 3 jobs to be able to support their families, worried about where interest rates are going, worried about what the coming months could bring. We're going to be there for people as well. Just this week, we got the House of Commons to pass our bill, giving a GST credit, doubling its value for the next 6 months, that'll help families with hundreds of dollars, probably next month. We're hoping that it's going to be able to land in the month of November to help families right now when that's needed. And actually the Conservatives came out, well, the Conservative leader came out immediately attacking this plan. That's something we shouldn't do. But then Conservative MPs started to say, okay, no, actually, I think we want to support this GST tax credit. It's a good idea. Finally, the Conservative Party supported it. We got it through the House very quickly. That was a good thing, and proof that the Conservative leader doesn't mind reversing himself when something's a good idea. But then, that wasn't all we're doing for Canadians. We also recognize that people need more help. So lowest income renters are going to get a $500 top-up to help with the cost of rent on top of the Canada rental benefit that goes to them. And we're finally moving forward on something that Canadians have long called for, to make sure that every family can afford to send their kids to the dentist. That's $1,300 over the next 2 years to families that need that support. We're talking about 9 million Canadian families. That is going to make a huge difference. Unfortunately, Conservatives are not going to be supporting those measures. They tried to kill them in the House of Commons. Their excuse is they're worried that it's inflationary. They're worried that us giving families that can't afford to send their kids to the dentist the means to send their kids to the dentist is going to be inflationary. I think we'd have to think about the fact that, does that mean that people who have the means to send their kids to the dentist should not do it for the next 6 months so that they don't contribute to inflation? Are Conservative MPs going to decide, no, for the good of the country, I'm not going to send my kids to get their teeth cleaned because it contributes to inflation? That makes no sense. And of course, nobody's going to say that. So why would the Conservative Party say, oh no, but people who can't afford to send their kids to the dentist, well, if they suddenly send all their kids to the dentist, that's going to push inflation. That's not only cold-hearted, it's not only not being there for Canadians, it's also misunderstanding how important prevention in healthcare and supporting our kids through difficult times and supporting families that need support through difficult times is to generate success for everyone. But they're still stuck in the idea that the best way to grow the economy is to make sure the wealthy are free to spend as much money as they like to try and keep the economy going. But what we've seen over the past 7 years is that doesn't work. Yes, we need growth. Yes, we have moved forward as a government on lowering small business taxes. We've moved forward on drawing in investment and growing the economy. But we've also made sure that families get the support they need to be able to fully participate. And that is what is that is the political question right now going on between the Conservatives and this government. And that's why I'm so pleased that you are here tonight to support us, to show that you understand that being there for each other is just what Canadians do. And it's what we do well, and it's how we build a better future for us all. But at the same time, it's not enough to just be there to support families now. Because even though people are stressed, with good reason, around the cost of living, around challenges in housing, around challenges around gas and fuel prices, we know that there are bigger things that people are also worried about. Disruptions in global supply chains that imperil jobs and local economies. Changes in geopolitical realities like Russia deciding to invade part of Europe, to invade Ukraine in an unjustified, illegal action that is designed to destabilize the global economy, causing food crises and fuel crises all around the world. And people, of course, are worried about climate change as well. Here in BC, you know the impacts of the changing climate. We've seen the floods. We've seen the pressures of extreme weather events. But here in BC, you also know, better than perhaps anyone else in the country, that you cannot build a strong economy for the future if you're not at the same time protecting the planet and investing in the technologies that are going to fight climate change. And that's where 7 years ago, as we were talking about that with you, with Canadians, as we were forming government, when we talk about climate change, we talk a lot about the challenges of climate change, the pressures that it's happening. On expliquait que les changements climatiques sont source d'énormes défis que nous devons s'attaquer ensemble, que nous allions travailler pour contrer. Mais on disait aussi que ce serait une opportunité aussi pour la croissance économique. We highlighted that yes, even as climate change was a challenge we had to meet, it would also be an economic opportunity for growth and well-being and innovation and good jobs. And finally, after years of doing the right things, of putting a price on pollution right across the country, of investing historic amounts in renewables, in demonstrating to the world Canada's leadership on growing the economy and fighting climate change, we're seeing record numbers of investments across the country in greener, cleaner steel, in greener, cleaner aluminum, which means good jobs for workers in those steel and aluminum plants, good jobs in the auto sector, good jobs in mining sector, developing the critical minerals that are going to be used in electric batteries to run the cars that we're going to use that run off a clean grid, that demonstrate the solutions the world needs. The world is looking to Canada right now. Yes, for energy and community solutions that we're showcasing now, but also because Canada, with our investments in renewables, with our investments in hydrogen, many of it centered right here in BC, very exciting what's going to happen on that. We're positioned to be the reliable supplier of energy in a net zero world. We have the same kinds of energy and minerals that they have in Russia or China. But we have human rights and labor standards and environmental standards. And we don't weaponize energy policy. And we have trade deals with friends and democracies around the world. And we can leverage that and the strength of our natural resources with the extraordinary strength of our human resources. Canadians. Because I will say on Monday, I was in a suburb of Ottawa announcing that Nokia, the telephone giant out of Finland, was going to make significant investments in Canada, in Canada, a suburb of Ottawa, and they were going to make that plant, that research facility, one of their top 5 research facilities in the world. Now, the federal government had to cough up about $40 million to draw in that investment, but I can tell you, any country in the world would have been glad to pay $40 million to get one of the top 5 telecommunications hubs in research and development for a company like Nokia. So, I mean, yes, the government being part of it was important, but they made that choice because of Canadian workers, because of Canadian engineers, because of Canadian skills, because of Canadian research, Canadian innovation, Canadian connectedness to the world, the diversity that is such a strength for Canada, drawing in people from around the world to live, work, and grow. These are the advantages that Canada has. This is a story we're telling in a really uncertain world. So yes, there's a time of anxiety that we're looking at because the world is changing fast. But Canadians are leading in this change. Canadians can take pride in our ability to shape strong, resilient communities that get where the future is going and are part of building it. And that too is part of the political conversation going on right now in our country. You see conservative politicians telling people it can all go back to the way it was before. That we don't have to worry about climate change. That we don't have to worry about, new jobs. We could just pretend and hunker down and the world will pass us by. But that's not what Canadians want, and that's not who Canadians are. We're people who've always stepped up to meet the future with hard work, confidence, and ambition. A willingness to work hard, a desire to be there for each other, and a drive to build a better future for everyone. That's the opportunity we have. And that's the political debate going on right now. Do we let fear, do we let anger be the emotions that drive us? Do we allow ourselves to be scared into isolating ourselves or lashing out? Or do we do what we've always been able to do in the difficult moments, which is stand up confidently, step forward, know we're going to have to work hard, but know we're very capable of doing that. And know that we are better positioned because of the extraordinary richness of Canada, richness in resources, richness in geographic location on the globe, but mostly richness in people from every corner of the world come together around a simple idea of building a better future for our kids than we ever could have imagined before, and doing it by being there for each other. That's the emotion that we need to harness as Canadians. Not in terms of making the right political choice, although I'd appreciate it if you did, and I know you're here tonight because you will. But that's the emotion we need to harness if we are going to succeed. Not just for Canada, but succeed in showing the world the path we are building together, the path that all of us in every corner of the planet can aspire to and take to. Everywhere we look, there is political instability. There are challenges. There is upheaval. And yes, here in Canada, there are lots of challenges. There are too many families facing too much difficulty, which is why we're going to continue to be there for them, but why we're also going to make sure all of us stay focused on the future we can and we will build together. And that, my friends, is why I am so deeply grateful to all of you for choosing, at a time where it's not always easy, to step up and participate in a political event, in the political process, to say that you want to be part of shaping this better future, that you know that we can pull together and meet whatever the world throws at us, because that's just who we are. Alors c'est toujours un privilège profond pour moi de pouvoir vous remercier en personne de votre appui, de votre leadership, de votre participation dans notre processus démocratique. J'ai bien hâte de pouvoir vous en parler un par un et prendre des photos. I want to thank you all, as always, for stepping up together, for passing through hardships and negativity in terms of being here tonight, but for remaining committed to the dream we share of a better Canada for our kids and grandkids and a better world for all. That's what it means to be here tonight, and that is why I'm not just so grateful to you, but made even more optimistic about our capacity to succeed in the future, because we're all in this together. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Thank you all very, very much for being here tonight.
Aren't we so lucky to have a great leader like this? I can honestly tell you, in the 7 years we've served alongside Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Souk, myself, and now Parm, we've seen how impactful of a leader and a party and the team that he's assembled, which listens. As the Prime Minister has highlighted, a lot of the national policies and the national programs that we did, the effects right on the ground right here in Surrey are impeccable. He spoke about the transition to a greener economy. Who could ever have imagined that Surrey would be getting an automotive plant? We have now Damon Motors that is building an electric motorcycle plant right here in Surrey. It's going to employ 800 jobs. People said, and I was with some conservative colleagues of mine, and we're at a hockey game, and they go, Randeep, tell me the truth. Does Justin just hate Alberta? Does he just hate the oil sector? He just wants to stick it to them? I said, to be honest with you, he actually fights for Alberta and the resource sector in BC more than we do. I'll be honest, we have a different demographic here. And I said, he wants to transition it. And they said, it ain't gonna work. Well, just this last week, the oil sector, the oil companies have committed to $25 billion to greenify the oil sector for carbon capture and future. This is new money, not for drilling more wells, but to make our energy the cleanest energy when we do it. So the policies are working. Job rate, unemployment rate was 7, we're down to 5. In fact, I get more complaints ever since I got in office that I can't find workers. I never get anybody that says I can't find a job. When it comes to Surrey, every single community center, swimming pool, park now has electric chargers from federally funded dollars. We have SkyTrain being built that'll connect the township and city of Langley to the city of Surrey. Unprecedented amounts of money that has come here. We've grown the economy in a bigger pie, which, as the Prime Minister said, is helpful for everyone. The school the Prime Minister was at this morning and the schools around used to have breakfast programs. We used to have such a high poverty rate. We can now honestly say, oh, there's still challenges, but we don't have that anymore. When we got elected, there was a tent city in Surrey. We built rapid housing initiatives, mobile housing, 250 more units, and they're still growing strong so that we can give them a place to stay, give them dignity, and that's how Canadians, that's how Surreyites want it. And that's all because of the efforts you did as well. Today, Prime Minister drove by Scott Road. He drove now on 132. We don't have shuttered stores or windows. Despite COVID, despite the biggest pandemic in the history that we all have ever seen, our businesses stayed open. I went to Kamloops, I went to Victoria, and the hotel industry, the hospitality industry would personally come out and thank us because they said, if it wasn't for you, we would have been bankrupt, we would have been closed, our restaurants would have been shut down. But that only helps when you help the middle class, because the middle class is the ones that are the consumers that go there. But I also want to thank all of you who have been part of the Liberal family from day one, along with Dr. Cheema, and all of you are his extended family. As he said, he's done over 10 fundraisers for the party in British Columbia since he's come here, since our government. He's probably done a lot more before, he hasn't counted, and raised well over $1 million. So I think we should all give him a big round of applause too. And he's dedicated, and so are all of you. As the Prime Minister said, despite what obstacles got put in its way. And to be honest, there's hundreds of more that wanted to come today as well, but we felt that you've paid, you've been committed 3 times as a charm, so you guys deserve your attention, your undivided attention with the Prime Minister, so we kept it at this limit. So the next time we do, Prime Minister, there's a lot more people that still want to come and support you and help you and be here, so they will be here. But I really appreciate it from the bottom of our heart, from the Liberal family, all the dedication, all the efforts that you do, the volunteer effort, the volunteer hours, all the volunteers are doing in the back and the front, those that did it before and again today. I really thank you. I want to thank the media for always being here as well. I want to thank the hall owner, Mr. Tiara, and his family, who's patiently allowed us this second time again. So now, before we go to the photo lineup, I just want to tell you, let's be patient. Let's show our true Surrey colors and stay on your seats. Every single person will get a picture. I will give out some rules though. The first rule is there's 1 picture per person. You want to do it with a group, you can have it with your group. You can have it individually, but not twice. So everyone will get 1 picture. You decide before you come up if you want your solo picture with the Prime Minister or with your family or with your table or with your group. That's up to you, but 1 picture at a time. Second is don't take your selfies and don't have somebody take a picture. What's going to happen is you're going to be looking at that camera and the Prime Minister is going to be only looking at his camera. And it's going to be a bad picture from the Prime Minister's photographer as well as your photograph. So just wait, in 24 hours, usually they're even faster, they'll all be emailed to you. You get your own picture and it'll be a high resolution, awesome picture, so be patient on that. So there's going to be some volunteers. They're going to come and they're going to ask each table. So like I said, be patient. You're going to come from the right side up. You'll take a picture with the Prime Minister and exit along this side. Please be orderly. There's no rush. He's not leaving. I've never seen a person like the Prime Minister who's made sure that everyone gets a picture when they're expected to. So he will. So be patient. So volunteers will escort you up. Just stay patient until then, and then afterwards dinner will be served. And again, once again, a big, big thank you to all of you for coming out, and thank you, Prime Minister, for coming out to Surrey. This is probably his umpteenth time he's come here, so I won't even count that. But once again, thank you, and please give a big round of applause to the Prime Minister.